Episode 105. Look Alive. Mars Day with Mark, with Mr. Mark the Shark, aka Mr. Meyer, with the fire. Here to take the collective vibe higher. Good to see your beautiful face today. This is your favorite astrology podcast, where we put it on blast, not from the past, but from the future. So, what I mean by that is we're going to take a trip on our favorite rocket ship. We're going to jump through the skies from June 10th to the 17th. Okay? Ooh, and I'm filming this on the 10th, by the way. And my name is Mark, and it's good to see you guys. And I also just wanted to say before I really kick this off, because this is a very exciting week, I want to make this video pretty brief as well. I did the math last week. 104 weeks is 2 years. So we have been doing this podcast for over 2 years. And I'm just grateful for all the love, the support, you guys taking the time to watch these videos, okay? And that's been making me think about, like, what am I doing? What's the point of this? So I've got a really exciting week to show you guys. I'm going to give you the highlights and the rundowns and the facts when it comes to astrology. I think above everything else, what I want everyone to see in this video is that we all play an integral part in this world, and each of us makes up a piece of the machine of the universe. So that's beautiful. So I'm going to give you the highlights, the good news, the bad news, and then we'll run through the degrees, and then I'll explain some of these, themes a little deeper, and then I'm going to send you on your merry way, okay? So full moon kicks off this week tonight on Tuesday. We have this full moon in Sagittarius on the 10th of June. And then we have Jupiter just beginning its trek through the sign of Cancer. This is news. We have Venus dignified in the sign of Taurus. We've got Saturn also still kicking off its trek through Aries. A lot of new ingresses. Mars is going to switch signs this week. And then we also have some tense angles to get into. So let's get into the degrees. Well, let me just say the good, the bad. The good news, you got this magical full moon going through this whole week, okay? As far as kicking off and coloring this week with this magical energy. That's number one. Number two, Venus dignified. Number two, a whole new Jupiter cycle, which is going to bless us all in mysterious ways. And I'm going to have to make a separate video about that really soon to detail this for all the 12 signs. So make sure you are subscribed. And then as far as some of the more difficult things going on right now, is we do have Jupiter and Saturn square. And we also have Mars making a square with Uranus this week. And as far as what we're going to do with that, we're going to turn it into power. So let's jump into it. Today, the sun is at 20 degrees of Gemini, and the moon, as I'm filming this, is around 15. So that being said, oh yeah, we're getting ready for the full moon tonight. And basically, Mercury is at 3 degrees of Cancer. You've got Venus at 4 degrees of Taurus. Mars is at 26 Leo today. We've got Jupiter at 0 degrees of Cancer. Saturn is at 1 degree of Aries. You've got Uranus at 28 Taurus, Neptune at 2 Aries, and then Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius going retrograde. I should also say the North Node is at 22 Pisces. 1 week from now, so where we start episode 106, we're going to have the sun at 26 Gemini, or 27 really. The moon will be about halfway through Pisces. We'll be approaching the last quarter moon. Mercury moves up to 16 Cancer. Venus moves up to 11 Taurus. Mars, like I said again, is going to switch to Virgo, so we'll be at 0 degrees. You have Jupiter moving up to 1 Cancer. Saturn is still at 1 Aries. Uranus moves up to 29 Taurus. Neptune is still at 2. Pluto is still at 3. And the North Node is still at 22. So that's what we're looking at today, guys. So I really want to say that this full moon is going to be very special. And a lot of you folks are going to see this before the full moon. Plenty of you guys are going to actually see this after, June 10th. Either way that goes, guys, this is going to be a magical week, a magical window. And I think this full moon really does go a bit beyond moon water and spells and affirmations and manifestations. Gemini and Sagittarius is an interesting polarity. And while we are in the season of Gemini, really in our last full week of Gemini, this Gemini energy is mutable, it's interactive, it's fun, spontaneous, it's curious. Gemini is about the mind, it's about knowledge. And then I find that Sagittarius is about wisdom. It's about the experience. Gemini is really about what you know, and then Sagittarius is what you've seen, what you've experienced, right? So, what I'm seeing more than anything in this full moon cycle, this release that we're starting, is heavily centered around the stories that we tell ourselves, about life, about others. And we are starting to examine on a deeper level, do these stories serve? Can I change the narrative? Doing an inventory of your mental framework and even your beliefs on a different level, and speak from a more empowered voice. It's very beautiful. And I really want to say that this full moon is so cool. It's so cool, guys. And why is it so cool? Because the moon is in Sagittarius and Jupiter's in Cancer. And this is what we call mutual reception. These two planets have basically switched signs. The moon rules Cancer, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so they flip-flop. And that's really special. That's very dignified. There's a lot of ease, there's flow here. And really, Jupiter notoriously is referred to as the greater benefic. Greater for one, because it's the biggest planet, and then benefic, number two, because this planet is largely what we want. It's largely positive. It's about growth. It's about meaning. It's about perspective, like we were talking about. Jupiter also is about faith and luck and meaning. And Jupiter has had a harder time in Gemini. For perspective, my friends, just remember Jupiter takes about 12 years to go around the whole sun. So it spends about 1 year in every sign. And Jupiter in Gemini is basically work for Jupiter. Because again, Jupiter is home in Sag. So Jupiter has to show up and clock in and get the job done. And it's kind of stressful for Jupiter to be in Gemini, because it's the definition of overthinking or being overstimulated, or, the expansion is happening in a multitude of ways. It's got a lot of variability as well, too. So, a lot of us felt a little bit overwhelmed in this last year of Jupiter Gemini. I will say it seems that the growth happened very quick. There was a lot of learning and we grew a lot. So we just entered Jupiter Cancer, my friends. That's another thing to think about, is that I believe this is the first full moon we've had since Jupiter moved into Cancer. It's not been there for more than a couple days. Yep, that's right. See, on the 8th, at least in this time zone, it moved over. But anyway, that's old news. So I'm just saying that these lunation cycles we're going through, they're bringing in this Jupiter Cancer energy. There is a big shift going on right now, not just for the full moon cycle, but the Jupiter cycle that we're going through. And after this, I'll tell you about Saturn too, in some way. But this is going to shift our direction from mentally and intellectually guided to emotionally and intuitively guided. And Jupiter is very dignified in Cancer. Beyond the mutual reception that's going on with this full moon that we have in this month, Jupiter really does well in Cancer. So much better compared to Gemini. And I want to say objectively, there's nothing really good or bad about either of those placements. They both teach a lot. But at the end of the day, there's something more natural and harmonious about being able to grow through your inner plane, your inner connection. So I feel that this year of Jupiter Cancer is going to be amazing. And I'm going to have to make another video about it. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that button so you can catch that one and the other astrology videos coming. But Jupiter in Cancer is going to bring a sense of peace and connectedness to the world. Cancer energy represents our family, our connection on a deeper level, our humanity. So I feel like this is a well-needed catharsis and cool water for the times and the shifts that we're going through right now, man. Because without getting too political or, into the current events, you guys live on this planet. We could definitely use peace. We could definitely use connection and more unity at this point. And ultimately, I find that this is going to be uplifting for most people in their personal spiritual quests. And you may see your intuitive abilities increase. And more than anything, I hope to see people just feeling more at peace with the world, okay? And with themselves. So as far as the other inner planets, I'm going to basically point these up because really we're not having much change this week besides Mars switching signs, okay? So do know that Mercury is going to be in Cancer all week. Mercury is the attitude, it's the mind, it's how we maneuver and get around, plus communicate, exchange ideas, all types of stuff like that. So you've got Cancer energy yet again, guys. This seems to be a week for us to really shift deeper into our emotional world. And you'll notice that communication is a little bit more intimate while Mercury's in the sign of Cancer. You may find it's easier to read body language or pick up on what people are saying emotionally or intuitively, or maybe conveying without their words, perhaps. Mercury in Cancer could be a subliminal message if you really think about the language that these archetypes are putting together. So you may start noticing things that are more behind the scenes with Mercury Cancer. One thing I also love about Mercury Cancer, individuals and even the transits that we can experience, is that this gives us this opportunity to work on speaking more gently and speaking more to people's feelings and from your feelings. This could talk about emotional intelligence. It's beautiful. I really like it. And we've got Venus in the sign of Taurus too, so I like this too. This definitely falls under the good news, my friends. Venus, the second planet, says a lot about what we want and what we enjoy, what we see as beautiful. And Venus is home in Taurus. She is the ruler of Taurus because Taurus represents this world, this earth, our needs, substance, food, money, possessions, resources, values. You wouldn't have made it this far without the Taurus energy, right? So Venus in Taurus is like satiating your hunger. It's about taking care of your needs. It's about indulging in life and leaning into the sensuality of your body. Venus in Taurus is so beautiful. And, this, what I'm about to show you guys, is a little bit old news, but do keep in mind that, as Venus jumped into Taurus, she did make a little square with Pluto this last week. So trying to get comfortable meeting our own needs, or even having to, assert our power in some way to make sure our needs are met. That's what I'm seeing for a lot of people. Taking care of ourselves on a deeper level, living rich, living well. That's the Venus Taurus conversation. I think the rest is commentary. Basically, life is beautiful. So go get yours. Go eat till you're full. Really enjoy life. Eat and enjoy life. That's Venus Taurus. And go get some money. Save that money. Invest that money. And then spend and donate and circulate that money. Money is beautiful. And Venus Taurus will tell you you need money for the most. Oh, we don't really objectively need money, but the way the society works right now, you do well to have some money. But anyway, let's talk about Mars Leo, because this is what's going to change truly. Mars is direction, it's passion and power. It's the masculine as opposed to Venus being feminine. So Mars in Leo has been a selfish orientation for the last month or so. And it's about doing it big and bold and exerting confidence. Control over your life and doing things with confidence is a better way to say that. So be bold. Be proud of yourself for everything that you are, everything that you do, okay? And Mars is switching out this week into the sign of Virgo. So we'll talk more about what that Virgo energy is going to mean next time, truly, because this really is a Mars and Leo week. But I just want you guys to see that as we go through that transition, we do have that square to Uranus. So the thing about Mars-Uranus angles is that this is probably going to give the week somewhat of a tension, maybe even an erratic undertone too. So it's great to have these supportive energies from our full moon and our Jupiter Cancer and our Venus Taurus and our Mercury Cancer, because truly Mars is the direction of our energy, and Uranus always has this integrative and accelerating and amplifying quality at times as well. So this is going to do a lot to our energy. Mind you, this is happening at the same time the moon is waning too. So that's very interesting to think about, is that this is going to look like an energetic purge for many of us during this week. And I'm going to move day by day just to show you guys when we peak the square. That's going to be, let me see. Saturday to Sunday, somewhere between Saturday and Sunday, is when the square is the most intense. But, just for practical purposes, the aspect is basically effective all week. Okay. But just know once we hit that weekend, we may start to see things kind of ease up as far as tension goes. And sometimes motion is the lotion that you need, Fire Family, when you are going through a cleanse or a purge, detox, or some form of release. Sometimes you just need to move. I mean, I think rest is key too, but listen to your body is probably the best thing I could say with all this Taurus energy. So, all right, as far as the other challenges, just pay attention to Jupiter square Saturn, because this one is not something we're unfamiliar with. We've seen this before, but this is a pretty interesting week because as far as degrees go, the Jupiter Saturn square is basically perfect this week as well. And the thing that you need to know about Jupiter Saturn cycles is that, this cycle is going to take years, and sometimes because of retrogrades, which is really how it worked this time, we actually had 3 major squares between Jupiter and Saturn. So in the past, I should say really this year, Saturn and Jupiter were both hanging around in Pisces and Gemini respectively, right? And because they both had different retrograde cycles, they would move in and out of this square, all right? And the thing that you need to know about Jupiter and Saturn, how it applies to us right now, guys, is that Jupiter is everything we've talked about expansion and growth and the great good energy, the greater benefic. Saturn, on the other hand, traditionally is called the greater malefic. 1, because it's big, greater, and 2, because most of us don't really want the delaying or rejecting energy of Saturn. It can be more cold and unrelenting, less quote unquote positive. But you need Saturn. We take a lot of things for granted in this life, man. As far as I'm concerned, it makes sense not to be happy when you don't get your way, but we seldom think about the little things like the floor we stand on and the air we breathe and how important that is and how it's really not promised either. But anyway, Jupiter and Saturn coming together in a square. So this is the thing about this angle, guys, and I really want to drill this because I think it's so important. Jupiter and Saturn are like best friends if you really think about it, but this looks like they're having a fight because Jupiter is the planet of let's get up and go, let's go have an adventure. I don't care what it costs, let's do it. We need the experience and the memories. And then Saturn is like, I'm not trying to mess up my pocketbook. Doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to waste time. Saying I don't get that. Saturn is like Ebenezer Scrooge for real. Saturn is principled, old, and very objective about the things that it does. And then Jupiter is about faith and belief. So you've got your dreams on one hand with Jupiter, and on the other hand with Saturn, you've got the discipline. And I find that consolidation is a good word for this energy because effectively there's a million ways to see this, but I think the simplest and most direct is to say that there's a crossroads basically, and there's a part of us that wants to expand, which is Jupiter, and a part of us that wants to contract a little bit, which is Saturn. And it may be required for us to do both at the same time, for us to cut back in some ways and for us to expand in some other ways. So that's what I mean when I say consolidation, is that all of us have finite levels of energy. And we can do some things to raise our energy a little bit, but at the end of the day, we have to be consciously aware of where are we investing our energy and our time, and is it giving us good returns? Is it diminishing returns? Are we making advancement and growth? The question I think for some, this is also very Mars and Leo, are you willing to go where you're targeting? Sometimes you need to ground your dreams with a little bit of practicality. And sometimes you may be in the right direction, but you may just need to slow down a little bit. Because one way you could also see Jupiter Saturn square is growth slowed down, expansion limited, you know? Oh, buddy. So it's easy to be frustrated at times like this where you feel like things aren't progressing as fast as you really want them to. And for some people, this energy, and like I said, this happened twice over the last, maybe 6 to 8 months, if you check the ephemeris. This energy for some just feels like something's kind of wrong. And it may be hard to put your finger on it, you know? On a more esoteric and broad sense, guys, Jupiter Saturn cycles, and especially this angle with the square, it talks about changing governing structures. Okay. And honestly, like I said, I'm not trying to get too political or do too much time on current events, but hey, that's probably a reflection of what's going on right now in politics, changing our governing structures. But beyond this, you can think about how that plays out in your personal life when it comes to how you govern and manage yourself, and what moral systems you uphold and how you are guided by your ethics and reasoning. So that's Jupiter Saturn square. I don't want to get too philosophical and such because, like, I was thinking earlier about the hierarchy of needs, and one of my mentors was talking about this, how it relates to content. And it's like, y'all don't want to hear that shit. You want to hear about food and sex and money, right? So it's like, what the fuck am I talking about? Let me like reel it back in. It's your life. So Saturn and Aries, like, let's get back to the good news I'll send you on your way. Saturn is also in Aries. This is a whole new battlefield, and Neptune is up in the mix as well. And it's the North Node in Pisces, ruled by that Aries Neptune, which says, Famalam, it's your life. You can create what you want and get your desires met, your needs fulfilled. So life's going to be super simple. All I need you to do is literally decide what you want, go after it, and then just feel good about it. And it's that simple. All right. So happy releasing, happy full moon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. Please engage with this video in some way. I would greatly appreciate it. I also want to let you guys know about the offer I have for you for the rest of Gemini season. If you're watching this video before the season of Cancer, I'm offering half price astrology readings just for Gemini. So everything that you need down below is going to be linked, and get at me. I'd be happy to take you through your chart. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video and show all the love and support. It means the world to me, and I will see you guys on the other side in episode 106. Leslie B.